Well, with another request from Carlos Hernandez on Patreon, it's time I take a look at an old short-lived series from Nickelodeon called El Tigre. It was created by a well-known animation vet named Jorge Gutierrez and his wife Sandra Ikuya. I'm sorry if I butchered that name, who went on to make The Book of Life and an upcoming Netflix series and many other well-animated works. The show was about a boy living in the crime-riddled Miracle City as a superhero with a superhero father and a supervillain grandpa, as he had to choose between being a superhero or being a villain. I remember enjoying El Tigre when I was younger, so let's see if this is still worth a watch by previewing a few of the episodes. This is El Tigre. We start on the opening title sequence that immediately catches your attention and gives you the rundown of who the characters are, their location, and what the premise is. A good way for an episodic series to let new viewers know what they're getting into with each episode, as so they aren't left confused, especially since the series didn't start with an origin episode. Also works as a good means to get you hyped for the show with its high energetic theme song. It even starts a bit gruesome with the death of a bird just to kind of let you know what type of show you're getting into.
Miracle City, a spicy cesspool of crime and villainy.
That guy won't be going home to his kids.
The episode begins with our main character's dad, Rodolfo, aka White Pantera, coming home and seeing his son Manny and his friend Rita laying on the couch being bored. Boy, that hits pretty on the nose now, doesn't it? That's just a bit of smooth, nostalgic deja vu right there. White Pantera tells Manny about his day and how he tried and failed to stop a jewel robbery just for Manny's grandpappy Rivera, aka Puma Loco, to sneak in with the jewel.
But I will find him. This, I swear!
Can't fake that. Got a good laugh out of me. Rodolfo tells about how even though he's retired, he'll still fight evil, which defeats the purpose of being retired, but you do you, boo, I guess. Rodolfo goes to take a nap and the kids decide to watch him.
I know what you're thinking.
Okay, that sounds pretty creepy, but with the way he sleeps, you kinda understand it. Which brings me to a good point about this series. It revels in being super outlandish and plain wacky, usually resulting in a lot of fun and creative jokes. The creators knew what they wanted to make and made sure every bit of it was the best of what it was, and that's very commendable in my book. But enough praise. So Manny and Frida notice Rodolfo kept his boots on while sleeping, which gives Rodolfo his powers of super strength and speed. And I'm sure Batman fell asleep with his suit on every now and then. Frida convinces Manny of taking the boots for a spin and goes on a bender around town. The kids return home with the boots, but their antics completely wreck them. If only they would talk to Mr. Krabs. I'm sure he could have gotten them some more powerful boots. But anyway, the kids distract Rodolfo so they can get the boots back onto him.
There's nothing going on. Scoodly, squaddly, scoodly, squee. I can't poop on my lawn. I can't poop on my lawn. Ow!
How very inappropriate, thank you.
Rodolfo goes off to work, none the wiser of what happened. He then comes to a stop near a casino where a robbery is taking place by a character named El Oso. You wish. Rodolfo transforms into White Pantera and leaps into action, but ends up losing in a very humorous way. Yeah, it's a pretty basic gag, but the execution of it makes it legit funny. The cutting the music off as it happens, the silly sound effects, and Pantera's grunts just make this a good laugh. Yes, it's kinda sick that we're laughing at a man get beaten, but that's the joy of it. Which brings me to the humor of this series. It was definitely a highlight of the show with how goofy some of the jokes were, but they managed to land their jokes by making sure the execution was grade A. A very appreciable effort on the creator's part, and that's something that gave this show such a unique styling. White Pantera returns home defeated, thinking he's gotten too old to fight, and then declares his retirement from being a superhero. A month later, he becomes a total slob. And boy, I haven't seen anyone decline that much since Review Your Life got passed by Veritas Joe.
Shots fired!
Manny and Frida come up with a way to repair the boots by using plutonium. Well, I've heard of worse ways to use plutonium. The kids use the plutonium on the boots and give them to Rodolfo. They seem to be working fine, but then they end up making White Pantera too fast. He ends up wanting revenge and goes to fight El Oso again. Manny and Frida realize that Rodolfo could get killed and ask Grandpappy Rivera for help.
Frida and I stole Dad's boots and wrecked them, and now they're out of control, and he's going to get slaughtered in Calavera!
Manny! I have done great evil in my life, but putting your own father in danger? That's worse than evil!
You're right, Grandpappy. I guess there's only one thing we can do to make this right.
Forget it ever happened?
White Pantera makes it to Calavera and tries to fight off all the villains there. He fails and is told he's too old to be fighting. Manny and the gang arrive just in time to tell the truth.
It's the boots! I wrecked them, and didn't tell you.
Thank you for trying to raise my spirits, but the truth is... It was the boots! What a relief! I'm not too old. I have merely been betrayed by my only son, and I'm powerless to stop these bloodthirsty villains from crushing me!
Wow, that's gotta be the most optimistic way of saying that you're weak that I've ever heard. So anyway, Rodolfo starts getting beat up by the villains, and Manny and Puma Loco jump in to save him. They stop most of the villains, but El Oso still remains. He threatens Manny, but Rodolfo's not having it and kicks Oso like a football.
Best 2 out of 3!
Dad! You beat him without your boots!
Boots or no boots, I always have the strength to protect you, mijo.
The gang returns home and Puma Loco manages to get the boots fixed. Manny tells of how he learned his lesson and won't steal the boots again.
Something's wrong with my golden sombrero, Chaos!
Oh, you guys!
And that was the first episode, and I think it did good in setting up the characters and the tone of the series. It was paced well enough that it got in and got right out with its fast humor, and it introduced the world of El Tigre, which is very much dived into with the Mexican and Hispanic culture. Like, it's just a world you kind of want to be in and enjoy everything that goes on in it. That's something I really like about this series. But I think we should look at one more episode to see if this series really does hold. And I think a good choice for that would be the final episode, because I feel that one did a good send-off. We start the episode with Rodolfo on a nightly stroll when he suddenly comes across the top of City Hall being unscrewed. That's definitely a metaphor for our politicians' brains right there, definitely. Rodolfo investigates only to find out that it's El Tigre and Puma Loco committing the crime. That was something about this show with Manny being on the fence of whether he should be good or evil. Sadly, the show didn't last long enough for that aspect to be properly explored. They touched upon it a little here and there, but sadly it wasn't enough. So it's just kind of a small aspect that is just there to kind of put you at motivation-wise of what Manny is going through. Moving on, Rodolfo tries to stop the two shenanigans, but they end up destroying City Hall in the process.
It is the judgment of this court that you are clumsy, stupid, and ugly. And you smell bad. You were cold as ice.
The judge sentences them to 20 years in the onion mines, which sounds like an affront to nature, but he quickly finds out that he's required to give them the option of family counseling. The family goes to counseling and is then told that they see each other as heroes and villains instead of family, so they have to give up their tools for their powers and live like a family. The group tries living normal lives as citizens with very bad results.
I don't need powers to handle a few bullies.
Damn!
Boy, he really stays fit.
You're slow, man.
I said drop that safe.
Okay.
Shit! That is whack!
The group returns home to complain about their troubles, with Freedom making them realize that their hatred of their therapist brought them closer without their powers. The family does a whole montage with them just enjoying their time together, which just gives us nice visuals, which is another thing I give some praise to this series for. The show has a nice aesthetic that Jorge Gutierrez is known for. It utilizes Hispanic art with its soft rounded edges and strong use of color. It's completely pleasing to the eye and something you feel Jorge was taking his time to perfect, and the show and many of his other projects are all the more better for it. The family continues enjoying their time together until they notice all the villains of the city completely running amok all throughout.
I'm sure the police can handle it.
I think I wet myself.
Boy!
The family ends up getting ambushed by their old flames and sent falling all the way to the ground.
The Rivera men, they always leave you. Oh.
The family gets attacked by multiple villains throughout the city before finally running to their therapist for their stuff back. The therapist first refuses, but then sees all the danger and gives them their tools back, only for them to get mixed up. Manny gets Pantera's boots, Grandpappy gets El Tigre's belt, and Rodolfo ends up with Puma Loco's sombrero.
El Tig! Better!
White Loco!
Puma! Tigre! Ooh, I have a tail.
The family at first struggles with the powers, but gets reminded by Frida to work as a family, so they put that advice into action and start kicking butt before finally giving the powers back to each other and pulling off a pretty kick-ass montage.
Riveras, assemble! One, two, three, punch!
Gotta say, for a finale, they really wanted that hype moment as a proper send-off, and it works with the use of the theme song. It just gets you so pumped, and everything ends with a bang with the villains all defeated and the city saved. Also with Frida kissing Manny for some reason.
Okay.
So that was El Tigre. Does it hold up? I say it does. The characters are all very fun with good, likable personalities to them. The animation is pretty nice to look at, and the humor is the highlight of all of it with its great execution of timing. The series clearly had more to offer, and it's a shame it was taken too early before it could prove it. Thankfully, Jorge and the other crew members have moved on to better avenues and are making the stuff they want to. This series is just an all-around ton of fun and deserves a good watch. And that's the review. Thank you for watching, and remember, it's just a deep thought.